Okay, looks like we have about everybody here, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, all. I'd like to welcome in. Thank you for attending the CU Northwest 15.0 Release Summary presentation. My name is Thomas Yates, and I'll be presenting our webinar today. During the presentation, all phones are going to be placed on mute just to eliminate any background noise. I will stop periodically to answer any questions. You may use the chat feature that we have here to go ahead and, let us know of any that come up to you during the process. Please do know, as these are all new features, you might have some questions that require just a little bit of research. If that is the case, I'll be more than happy to go ahead and get back to you. So please do use the chat panel for anything that occurs to you. Now, the first thing that we want to go ahead and go over here is if you've not already reviewed the 15.0 release summary, you can find this on the CU Northwest website at cunorthwest.com. If you go to the reference tab, then the CU base release summaries, you'll see it under the 2015 releases. The summary has been updated, so you'll find the most recent revised version available to you. If you've not done so already, it may be a good idea to go ahead and grab the release booklet, as it does contain a lot of the information that we'll be covering today. Now, the first area that we'll be covering is the member-facing section, and that is, as the name implies, those areas that are affecting your members. Now, the first topic we'll be looking at is the new feature in It's Me 247 that you can activate for your members. Now, with this release, you can show members through It's Me 247 their credit scores and credit score history that you have on file for them. We'll have available to you a reference document for this feature as well specifically. To find this document, you'll go to our website, again, cunorthwest.com, hover over the Reference tab, and click on CU Base Reference Docs. There you can go ahead and click the letter C to find the document Credit Scores and Online Banking, though please note this document is not going to be available until Friday, April 17th, just before the release. Now, this booklet will explain in more detail all of the information that you'll need for using this feature. Right now, we'll highlight the features in the presentation because there's a whole lot more that goes along with this, which is going to be included in the booklet. Now, the slide on your screen is what the member sees when they select to view their credit score history in It's Me 247, should your credit union choose to activate the feature. As you can see on the slide, you can see the most recent FICO score. In this example, the member's FICO score is 560 with the date of January 19th, 2015. This allows the member to know when the information was actually received, to know how recent it is. The credit union can determine how far back they want their history to go for their members. And doing so below the score, factors section is information directly from the credit bureau. This is not information that can be configured by the credit union, though. So when you pull a credit report, these are the key factors provided at that time by the credit bureau. You can let your members know why they're receiving a specific score and what actions they can take to go ahead and improve their respective credit scores. Now, as you can see on the screen at the bottom of the It's Me 247 page, let me get rid of that. At the bottom of the page, there are three boxes that the credit union yourselves can configure: the Apply for a Loan Today, Learn More About Credit Scores, and Contact Me About My Credit Score. Now, in the center box, you can apply links to other websites that provide additional applicable information about the member's credit scores. In the page, your credit union can configure the message that you'll want to appear in order to provide the information and instructions that your members will want to see. Now, on this slide, you'll note the box to show previous credit scores. By clicking on this box, a pop-up box will appear showing a credit score history that you have on file for this member. This is a configurable option for you to determine if you want the information from the last 2, 3, or 4 credit reports or pulls to appear for this member. This allows them to see the trend over time, if they're improving or not improving, and is an excellent reference tool just to make available for your members online. On this screen, we'll see another member who has a FICO score present of 636 and the file date of 10/21/14. This member actually does have a FICO score. However, the credit union has never pulled a credit report, nor do they have one on file for this member. And what we see on the next screen, when the member has never had a credit report, hard pull or soft pull completed by the credit union, is a message that no recent credit scores were found. Obviously, this is going to be a great opportunity to kind of get the conversation going so you can discuss loan options and opportunities the member has with the credit union. It's also just a great way to sell your loans. Now, please keep in mind that this will be available in the release, and it's coming April 19th. The additional information you will need to activate this feature can be found in the reference document, Credit Scores in Online Banking, which again is available on cunorthwest.com under the Reference tab if you select C. And as always, if you should have any questions just about the process, please feel free to reach out to our client services team. Now, next we'll discuss another item which will affect your members in online banking, and that's the ITSME 247 online banking password reminder. If your member's not changed their password in the last 30 days, when they log in, they'll receive a warning message that their password has not been changed in a while. The member will then have two options. They can change their password or choose Remind Me Later. As you can see on the slide, you have the message notifying the member and the two options available to them. If the member chooses to change their password, they'll be directed to the Change Password screen within ITSME 247 to make the change. And if they choose the Remind Me Later option, the message will disappear. However, if the password's not changed within 30 days, the message will reappear again and will reappear for them every time they log in to ITSME 247. Now on the next screen, you'll see the Change Password History screen. This shows when the warning was initiated and the response that was selected by the member. With the 15.0 release, this change is automatically activated and requires no action whatsoever on behalf of credit unions. This screen is a view of what the member sees when logging into ITSME 247. What we see on the slide is the warning that was issued to the member to change the password and then the member's response. Now, on the credit union side, the member's action will actually write to a tracker that will be associated to the member's account, so you do have that permanent documentation. There will also be an audit file that this will write out to, and we'll cover that in the audit section just a little bit later in the presentation. Now, the next change we see in ITSME 247 is the renaming of the eStatement tab. The member will now see a My Documents button. The reason for this change is to allow for more features to be added to ITSME 247 in the future. As you can see on the slide, the location of this button is now at the top of the page. If you hover over this item, the eStatement option will appear. It will also read Enroll Now if they have not enrolled yet. The next option that's available to the credit union with the 15.0 release is the My Virtual Strongbox. This is a virtual safe deposit box which will allow your members to store the most critical of documents in a secure location. This will be available under the My Documents button as well in ITSME 247. Now, you will notice the eStatement option is there on the left, and if your credit union activates the Virtual Strongbox feature, you'll have the icon you see present on the right. Once you make the selection to go into the Virtual Strongbox, you'll be directed to this screen where you can log in and view the documents that the member has placed in the Virtual Strongbox. Now, if your credit union is interested in the product, you'll need to contact My Virtual Strongbox to learn more about this option. The contact information, pricing information, links to authorization forms, and numbers are all included in the My Virtual Strongbox brochure, which is also located at cunorthwest.com. You can also, of course, contact client services, and we'll be more than happy to email the documentation to you. Now, the next thing that there will be a change for the members is this nice new feature where members can now track their progress to qualify for higher dividend rates in online banking. With the 15.0 release, we've added the enhancement within ITSME 247 to allow credit unions that use qualified dividend product within CUBase to allow members to view their progress. As you can see here on the slide, we have an example of a qualified dividend product in CUBase that shows the requirements the members must meet in order to qualify and receive those higher dividends. The criteria is, of course, set and configured as you determine. Now this will appear to the member in ITSME 247 as it appears on the screen here. In the example shown, the member has a checking product where they can qualify for higher dividends. In these instances, an icon will appear next to the share draft account. They can then click on the status button, or they can navigate and access the qualified dividends option under the My Accounts tab. Once you select either of these options, you'll be directed to the new screen which shows progress. Once an item of criteria has been met, a check mark will be placed next to that item showing it as complete. The member will always know just by logging into ITSME 247 what their status is in reaching their goal towards higher paid dividends. The top screenshot shown here shows that the member has not yet met all of the criteria and marks their progress thus far, while the bottom snapshot does show a member that has met all of the criteria towards earning the higher APY for this particular product. Next, we'll look at some of the enhancements in the account-to-account transfers, which is also known as your A2A transfers. What we mean by A2A transfer is the ability for a member to transfer funds from one financial institution to another. In the example here, the member is transferring from their regular share savings to an account at Merrill Lynch. Starting with this release, members making any A2A transfer within ITSME 247 must now check a box to authorize the credit union to initiate the electronic transaction to the financial institution that's indicated just above. Once the member checks the authorization flag and clicks the I authorize this transfer box, the member will then be transitioned to another screen where they'll be able to print a copy of the transaction just within ITSME 247 directly. Now, additional enhancements to make note of are the additional time zones that are supported within CU-Base. We've now added time zones for our credit union in Alaska, Tongass Federal Credit Union. We've also added the time zone for Hawaii as well as the transatlantic time zone. Now we'll take a quick look here at the changes to our lending and collection features. First and foremost, we have the enhanced tools for write-off loans, which is brand new with the 15.0 release. Now, as you probably know, we have an additional training session for this feature that is scheduled tomorrow, Thursday, April 16th at 9 a.m. Pacific. If you have not yet responded to that registration email and you'd like to attend, there is still most certainly space available. If you'd like to do so, please send an email to our education department at education@cunorthwest.com and we'll be happy to get you signed up. There's also a reference document for write-off, charge-off tools that will be available as well after this Friday. This can also be found at cunorthwest.com under the reference tabs by clicking on the CU-Base reference docs. You'll want to just click the letter W to find the document Write-Off, Charge-Off Tools. Now, this project for our write-off loans created a couple of new screens and a whole new menu, which kind of takes our write-off loan process to another level. Some of the features included the system taking a snapshot of the loan information at the time the write-off actually occurs. This is now going to allow for detailed trend analysis, including funds that were collected at the time the loan was placed in a write-off status. The new tool also is going to include a function for automating the charge-off and account closing for uncollectible loans. This is also actually going to include any of the related general ledger entries as well. There's also a new write-off charge-off history dashboard that we'll cover here in just a few minutes. This screen is the new configuration menu for your collections. Now this is going to be called MNCNFF. And always, as a reminder, if you're unsure of the menu that you are on, it is always going to be displayed in the lower right-hand corner of your gold screen. Now, in MNCNFF, option number 5 is your write-off, charge-off loan configuration for your write-off codes. This is going to be the why that we're writing off or charging off the loan, whether it be bankruptcy, just non-payment, etc. This is also where you're going to configure your reason codes as well as an opportunity to define the tracker memo types that you're going to be using to add the tracker note at the time that the write-off or the charge-off is performed. Now, as you can see at the top of this screen, there is a section for a selection of both the tracker memo types for write-off and charge-off. This displays any write-off reason codes you may have already configured and have available, as well as the option to create new ones in the lower left-hand corner. Now, when we want to write off or charge off a loan, we'll access the COLL option number 14. Once you select this option, a pop-up box will display, and you'll enter the account base and loan suffix. Go ahead and press enter once doing so, which will bring us to a brand new screen. This screen provides the snapshot of the loan at the time of the write-off or charge-off. Now, notice that we are now given the option at the bottom of the screen stating, is this debt still collectible? If it is, you'll want to select yes, I want to write off the loan, or no, I want to charge off the loan and close the account if it's not collectible. Now, notice on your screen we have our original disbursed amount, our balance, and the value of our collateral. Also, notice that there is an update button if you need to update that value. In addition, our payment information is displayed on the right-hand side. In this case, we're going to go ahead and choose yes, I want to write off this loan. This would mean that we can still collect on the loan. And in pressing enter, it'll bring us to another new screen in the write-off process. Now, notice in the upper right-hand corner is the message, loan will be written off. And it will transfer the loan to Category 99, which is, of course, our write-off loan category. The screen is going to greatly simplify the previous process. We no longer have to go out to MNUPDT number 1 and update the statement mail group or go into MN loan number 5 for our miscellaneous loan account information. As you can see here, we can change the statement mail group and the opt-out choices for CU and third-party contact all in one spot. We can also enter the credit bureau codes, status, and comments as well. Once you've completed entering the pertinent information on the screen, you'll want to click the Write Off Loan button in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Now we're going to go ahead and charge off this same loan. To do so, we're going to go back into the same menu, option number MNCOLL 14. We'll enter the same account-based loan suffix. Go ahead and press enter. But notice at this time, the screen displays charge off loan account in the upper left, and loan will be charged off and closed on the upper right side of the screen. When choosing this option, this means that the loan is really no longer collectible to you. We do have the option again to change the statement mail code group, your opt-out choices, as well as your credit bureau reporting information. Also notice the reason code for charge-off is in the center of the screen. These would be the codes that we've configured in the new menu MNCNFF, the Collections Configuration menu. Once you've completed the information on the screen, you would want to select Close Loan in the lower left corner of the screen. Now there's also going to be new write-off, charge-off loan history dashboards that will be available in our Management Analysis Dashboards 1 menu, or MNMGMD option 18. This is going to display our account number, reason code, our write-off date, member last name, the close date, and whether or not it was charged off, the balance written off, and if there is a current balance on the account. There's also a net change column, which will reflect the difference between the balance at the write-off as well versus the current balance, as well as a series of filters at the top to drill down to specific loan categories, your purpose codes, security codes, etc. In addition, there are also some action codes at the bottom of the listing. If you highlight one of the specific loans and select the written off loan history, it will take you to the screen with the written off loan history, or that snapshot that the system took of the loan at the time it was written off or charged off. Now, this information will now stay with you after the write-off or charge-off has occurred, so you can revert back and access that information. Now, when viewing our dashboard, notice in the lower left corner of the screen, you do have the option to toggle between your charge-off and write-off loans. Once we've toggled to display charged-off loans, the heading at the top of the screen displays that you're viewing your charged-off loan history, and the dashboard displays only those applicable loans. The same change on this screen would occur if you were to toggle for the written-off loans. Now we're going to look at some of the additional enhancements in CU Base for sending an email each time a loan status is changed. With our 15.0 release, we've enhanced the loan status function within CU Base. This would be found in your underwriting code configuration, which is located in MNCNFB, your lending configs. At the bottom of the configuration screen, you can see the option to generate an email when this underwriting code is used. You can enter in one or more email addresses, each followed by a comma, for each email address you wish to send the email to. As an example, on this screen we've used the code of AA. Every time this particular approval underwriter code is used, the email will be generated. Now, this may be an email that you're having sent to your manager of the loan department, possibly the relevant committee, and would want to monitor the specific codes or to track the amount of time that the loan approval process is actually taking. Now, keep in mind, though, this feature is for the purpose of internal controls. It is not for notifying the member. Now, back in our MNCNFE option 11, you can configure the address that the email is actually going to be coming from. If you choose this option, we have the available from address email options to select. We have the general email address for your general announcements and the credit union loan status emails. Now, when we select that we have the option to select where the email is coming from, you would then access this each time one of the underwriting codes is changed and select the appropriate from email address that it would be displaying that the email was essentially sent from. Now, some other additional lending enhancements that we've added are detailed soft pulls of credit scores, which is now going to be supported. The timestamp has also been added to the underwriter audit report. Denial reasons have been added to the loan application detail report, as well as new exports that allow you to create a file of the loans packaged for sale reports. Okay, we're now going to go ahead and take a look at your CEO management enhancements. The first of these enhancements is the Common Bond Analysis. Analyze the features of any group function. Now, within menu MNMGMT, the Management Processing Active Beta Test menu, option number 16, we've added the menu option Common Bonds for Member Groups. Currently, this feature is used within the patronage dashboards and where your members shop within the MNMGMA menu. With this release, we've added an additional standalone feature that allows you to access this analysis without having to go into the dashboard. This gives you, the credit union, options to build database of members and then run them through the analysis. For instance, when we select option 16, it will bring us to the next screen where you can actually build your own databases for something like a third party, say, or you can create just your own database in CUBase. In building this, you'd actually assign the name that you can run this Common Bond tool through for that actual database. So it gives us the same features that we currently have on the dashboards that are out there, but it just gives you the options without going through the dashboards to do so. Now, this can also be used as a standalone where you decide what members you want to put into your Common Bonds analysis. Now, the next enhancement or feature is the Fee Income Waiver Fee Refund Dashboard. In MNMGMT, number 19, we've added a Fee Income Waivers Refunds report. You can view screenshots of this report again in the release summary that we mentioned earlier. This will allow you at any time to show a fee that has been refunded or waived and the type of fee that was assessed. This will also show you the employee in question who refunded the fee. Now, the next thing that we're going to go ahead and look at here, there are 14 reports which have been added to the Report Scheduler feature. Again, if you look at the release summary, it will go into detail and list all 14 of those reports. Our next enhancement will be for anyone who's responsible for the 5300 call report. We've now made all of the information that's necessary to complete your 5300 available on just one menu. If you access MN 5300, this will bring you to the 5300 Call Report Tools menu. As you'll notice, we've added a lot of new options on this menu to make completing this just, as easier or as more convenient as we can. For those of you who are familiar with the current 5300 menu, we have some different options, but only the first 5 are for completing your call report. We've added the other options for gathering the data that you'll need for completing the call report entirely. Previously, you had to access multiple menus just to obtain all of the necessary data, and now it's all just available through MN 5300, which should make the process quite a bit easier. Some of the additional CEO enhancements here are the new handling instructions for late statement inserts, report enhancements for the 5300 call report, and an easier way to collect fees for statement styles. An additional CEO enhancement is the capability to select the frequency on the loan maturity analysis. From the All Accounts Analysis Dashboard menu in MNMGMD and the Loan Maturity Dashboard, you'll be able to control which aging period you're analyzing. What you'll want to do is select the Choose Frequency at the bottom of the screen. You can then select the number of weeks or years until loan maturity. This is, of course, in addition to the number of months, which is going to be your default setting. Now we're going to cover some of the marketing and sales enhancements that we have with the 15.0 release as well. We've initiated some e-statement notification changes, and now you can customize the subject lines. We are also now separating the configuration of e-statements from the notification emails that are being sent. Previously, these were all configured in MNPRTC option number 12. We're now moving some of these to MNCN-FE option 9, again that's FE, configurations E, to configure your e-statements and any fees that you may be charging. Also, option 10 is where you will access to configure your monthly statement emails. The option to configure your notification emails will continue to also be available in the MNPRTC menu. The option to configure your e-statements and your fees will only be available in MNCN-FE, again, configurations E menu. Now, once we select option 10, we'll select the regular e-statement notification email or the mortgage e-statement notification email. You'll make the selection of which one you're going to edit. And notice we now have options to change the message subject as well. You have the message box available for any changes that you're going to want to make, and the Save Changes boxes to select once you've completed that. We also have some new cross-sales enhancements, which will allow you to evaluate your program incentive costs. From the MNMGMT menu, option number 18, you'll now be allowed to use the Analyze data from your referral program. With the new release, we've added updates to make it an even more effective tool for you moving forward. But most importantly, it'll allow you to enter in an incentive amount so that you can calculate the cost that's actually associated with your cross-sale incentive program. We also have new sort filters, which will allow you to group the report results by branch, by incentive program, and these configure options are in the need and task groups. This will allow you to track grand totals either way. Now, if you do not want this to actually be generated as a printed report, we've added the cross-sales analysis dashboard. This allows you to kind of go through and create your theoretical what-if scenarios just to kind of view various outcomes and help you make the best choices as you move forward. When pressing enter, the report criteria is going to appear from the selections made on your previous screens. Now the next section we're going to look at is the teller member service enhancements. Stop payments for credit cards are now going to be allowed within CuBase. Now this does speak specifically to checks that are written on credit cards, also known as courtesy checks. Enhancements are also made to comply with the IRS required minimum distribution calculations, which are included. The 15.0 release puts us in compliance now with the current IRS regulations. Also, the last 10 accounts lookup feature has been added to 2 of the transaction reversal screens. This is going to affect your reversal options, which you find in the menu MNServe or MNSERV. Also, CuBase will now allow credit unions to run risk assessment when adding non-members as joint beneficiaries. You'll notice here at the slide at the bottom of the screen, the option to select risk assessment is now available to you. Also with the release, the option to enter a date for enrollment or unenrollment for e-statements is no longer going to be available to you. The system is going to assign these dates as far as the enrollment actions, and the date is now only going to be view only. This information is found in the Member Personal Banker option in MN Serve. Now, an additional enhancement with the release is talking about the average daily balance calculations that are found in Phone Operator. Currently, the system's locked at 60 days to calculate the average. We've gone ahead and we've expanded the field here to allow you to enter the number of days to calculate your averages. The system will still default to 60 days. However, you can enter anything up to a maximum of 180 days to calculate your average. Now, our last item here in the Teller Member Service area is the transaction description for debt protection, which has been altered to remove the word fee. As we mentioned just a little bit earlier, we're now going to take a look through the audit changes and enhancements as well that are coming with the release. We talked about earlier the tracking that occurs when a member declines to change their online banking password with the new functions that pop up when they have gone more than 30 days without changing their passwords. Currently, you do have that password change history that's available in the MN MISC menu in option number 10, which lists all of the times a member has changed their online banking passwords. After the new release, members will be asked every 30 days to change their password. The presentation of this reminder and the members' responses are all now going to be recorded in the password change history log. And if you take a look here, you'll see the screen where all of the information is recorded, as well as the various filters that you can choose in reviewing that. This information can also be printed directly. And that actually does bring us to the end of our presentation with regard to all things except for the in-depth write-off tools webinar, which will be happening again tomorrow morning. If you do wish to attend, please do send an email to education@cunorthwest.com.